Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joining me today is your star, your Fitchburg Star, Kimberly from the Fitchburg Star. Kimberly, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. We're doing good.
If you watch the promo for today's show, I totally called you out on the promo too. We always say, coming up next on tomorrow on Talking Fitchburg, I totally went for it. It's our star, the star.
I let you get away with it.
I appreciate
Let's say it that way.
All right. We've got a couple things to talk about today as we look back in the week, and we start with Wednesday night's COW meeting. We had some discussions about possibly changing the name, a suggestion to change the name of City Hall. What do you know?
Yeah, so Committee of the Whole, also known as COW, which I think is a great name for a committee in Wisconsin. But so they had a discussion about whether to rename City Hall after former Mayor Frances Huntley Cooper. So about an hour and a half of the meeting, it was an hour and a half meeting. So you had about a third of it with public comment where pretty much everyone was very in support of renaming the City Hall from public comment standpoint. But then you had about an hour of discussion from alders. And so they're kind of split into two camps where you had a couple of alders who are in favor of renaming City Hall for her. And two of those, Alder Joe Maldonado and then Alder Julia Radafrada, they're going to plan to bring forward a resolution at some point to rename City Hall. The exact timing is not determined, but we can expect that in the future. And then we had two other alders who were a little bit on the fence about renaming City Hall, not because of Frances Huntley Cooper specifically, not because of her or anything she has done or her legacy, but more so just they're unsure about renaming a building such as City Hall that, they believe is representative of democracy, the people's house, for one person. And so a couple of examples that were used were the naming of Fitchburg way back when it was founded. And then another example was given about the FBI national headquarters and how that has the name of the founder, but that founder has also done some kind of sketchy things that, Alder Jim Wheeler, who brought it up, doesn't necessarily agree with. So that's kind of where alders sit for now. We didn't hear a whole lot of opinions from Alder Randy Udell. He was the council president. He was running the meeting. We didn't hear a whole lot of opinions from the mayor either. So, but I'm sure we'll hear more opinions as they bring it forward in future months. So.
Absolutely. And if you missed that meeting, we got that up on Fact TV for your viewing pleasure, and you can watch there was a lot of great ideas out of that meeting. So check that out for sure. All right, switching over to the ARPA / TID closure investment plan. We put that out on the website this week, and the schedule is moving forward, and you have the details.
I do. So the ARPA investment plan, I got scolded for calling it a spending plan before this. So that plan is out, and it's got a couple of priorities listed for what they would like, or what Mayor Aaron Richardson would like to use the money for. It is not something that is set in stone. It's looking a little bit like the budget process that they do every fall for the operational budget, but it's just a plan. So it's not going to necessarily lock anyone into anything. All it is it's direct city staff to know what the council's priorities are. So we can also expect some amendments from alders as well, but currently listed out in that proposal are priorities. Reducing COVID-19 exposure is the top one. That'll come in installing permanent particle barriers and replacing the floor in the employee workout room. And then other priorities include investing in city infrastructure, specifically stormwater, so that they can keep stormwater rates lower, since that is a different portion of taxes. As well as street resurfacing, especially looking at those areas in the town of Madison that we're about to inherit, and seeing where they would like to spend those dollars that wouldn't necessarily fit into the operating budget. as well as some things that were earmarked in the 2022 budget. There were lots of different things that got earmarked. Some of them were the McKee Farms Park tennis courts, fencing and resurfacing. That has been kicked down the road for quite a while in the last few budgets. So Fact TV equipment to facilitate hybrid meetings and events. You might care a little bit about that one, Jeremy, but and then there's other replacements as well, or other spending as well that they would like to do with that money, such as body camera replacements for the police department, South Stoner Prairie neighborhood planning, and then native plantings in Fitchburg parks. I could probably bore you with an hour with all the things listed in this plan, but those are just some of the things that are currently in this proposal. They might not stay there, considering the alders are going to probably add some amendments, but the important thing to know is that as this process moves on, the final vote is anticipated for the last meeting in March. And so don't quote me on this, but I think off the top of my head, it might be March 22nd. I'll have to check. I don't have a calendar in front of me. But
well, I'll go ahead and cover you here, because that's what a good reporter does. The public hearing happens on the March 22nd, as well as discussion to the amendments and the adoption of said plan. So if you are interested, all of that is online at fitchburgwi.gov. And of course, a full breakdown online through the Star. Finally, you're really getting into my territory here, so I'm going to let you get away with it this last time, but for good reason. COVID-19, the last time you talked with us, the numbers were really high, and they're still high. I mean, 72 counties in Wisconsin are in critical high as of the day we're taping this, but numbers are getting better, and you're here to bring us good news.
Right, because so 2 weeks ago, I was very, very doom and gloom, like, oh my gosh, we've never seen cases this high, which was true. Some of that was definitely caused though by a delay in reporting. So even though, we had 1,200 cases reported 2 weeks ago, not all of those might have been reported in those 2 weeks. It might have just been a backlog that the state was working through because there was a huge Omicron spike. So better news today. COVID numbers are down by 17% across the county, which is always promising. And within Fitchburg itself, there's only been 170 new cases in the last 5 days. So I know that sounds high, that 170 cases is a lot of people, but when you consider it to 1,200, it's definitely a better outlook than we had. And they're also seeing a slight decrease in hospitalizations, which is a really important thing for us to keep in mind as we continue to trudge through this pandemic. Is even though the Omicron variant is less severe, you look at the law of big numbers, and logically, the more people who get infected, the more people who are going to need additional help and hospitalization. And we want to keep those hospitals free and clear so that people who have other ailments can actually have a bed. So good news. Hopefully it will continue. This is going to sound really gross, but if you look at the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District, and you see the amount of COVID-19 that is being filtered out of our number 1 and number 2, those numbers have continued to go down. So hopefully, hopefully the proof is in the poop.
Don't you do that. I'm cutting you off right there.
Hopefully.
How dare you bring up a number 1 and number 2 on this show? And that's a pretty good investigating wording. So
you're cutting me up.
It's going to tee this one off here. You can find more at the Dane County Public website, or call the expert, Kimberly, for more detailed information. Kimberly, always a pleasure to check in with you. We'll check back in next month. Stay safe out there and stay away from COVID.
I will try, and everyone else in Fitchburg should too, as best you can. So also, you can find stories on fitchburgstar.com, because I was waiting for that.
No, I wasn't giving you that opportunity this time. More information can be found at the Star's website and social media. Kimberly, always a pleasure. We'll see you again next time. Take a quick break. More to come. You're watching TF.